All right. Hello, everybody. KV Chief Meteorologist Hunter Williams here with you. Tonight, we wanted to take a little bit of time, talk about our forecast moving forward, which fortunately is trending drier, but not completely dry, especially tomorrow. We still need to be on guard for a few scattered heavy downpours. While this is not going to bring major flooding like what we've seen over the past couple of days, we've got recovery, cleanup going on across the hill country, and it is possible some scattered downpours could develop there. So we're going to talk about that. And I also want to start by kind of talking about some of the rainfall totals and the river crest and just showing you some of the new data that we have coming in regarding just this horrendous flooding that we've been dealing with over the past couple of days. Okay, so let's start with this monthly rainfall. First in the metro, and this is not where the heaviest rain has been, at least not in central Austin. Of course, most of this was northwest Travis, then into the hill country. 5.16 inches of rain now for this month for Austin Camp Mayberry. That is already easily well above what the normal July would bring, and we're only 8 days in. Austin Airport, and this shows you how quickly, as you go on the east and southeast side of town, how quickly these numbers dropped off. 2.36 inches of rain at the Austin Airport over the past 8 days. Okay, so these are the totals area-wide, and again, you could see how this quickly ramps up as you go into the hill country. Anywhere in the orange into the red is at least 5 to 6 inches of rain. Really, where our most devastating flooding took place boils down to 3 areas. So here into Mason County and then down to our southwest. So first here in Travis County, northwest Travis, western Wilco, southern Burnett, a widespread swath of anywhere from 12 to 22 inches of rain fell. And I'm going to talk some about the creeks and streams and rivers here in a moment. Then we had another little bullseye here, Llano County. And then here, Mason County back west, 12 to 21 inches of rain. And then, of course, we all know Gillespie County down to the southwest into Kerr County, 10 to 15 inches of rain. And this is the heavy rain that went into the Guadalupe River and caused the devastating flooding there. Now, here's some of the local bigger creeks and rivers in the way that these flow across our area. So the southern fork of the San Gabriel River, this is where we had massive river flooding going on, and it was the result of this very heavy rain, southwestern Wilco into Burnett County. And then as you go out west, this big bullseye here, some of this went into the Llano River, which also went into major flood stage in Llano. And there was also a river flood emergency here for the Llano River in Mason County. And then some of this back farther west also went into the San Saba River, which had its own flooding issues. And there actually is still a decent bit of water coming through the San Saba River. Now, the Pernalis River did go elevated. I believe it went briefly into minor flood stage, but the Pernalis River did not deal with any of the major flooding issues compared to our other waterways. That's because out here around Ingram, where the bullseye was, this fed into the Guadalupe River. And again, we know how devastating the flooding was there. Now, here, let me actually go back to this real quick. We'll zoom in quick again on the rivers. So as far as northwest Travis and Burnett County were concerned, where the worst flooding impacts, it wasn't these bigger rivers, it was the creeks and the streams. So we have Cow Creek, we have Big Sandy Creek here in northwest Travis County, which experienced very devastating flooding. And then in Burnett County, we have the Hamilton Creek area. Those were some of the areas, and then as well Sandy Creek, which runs in this way. Those were some of the areas in Travis County, Burnett County, and Williamson County that experienced major flooding. Okay, so now let's go into the hydrograph for the Llano River at Llano. Now, thankfully, this is down below flood stage, so the floodwaters have worked through the system. But you could see back on Friday, on July 4th, where the river went up to nearly 27 feet, well into major flood stage. And that was a pretty remarkable rise there. That water eventually dumped into Lake LBJ, into Lake Marble Falls, and into Lake Travis. And I'll show you the Lake Travis rise here in a second. And then these are the numbers. We'll wait a second for this to load in. These should be the numbers for the St. Gabriel at Georgetown. This is pulling from an online source. Let me back up real quick. We'll see if this will refresh. So there's Llano at Llano. Then we'll go into this one. And there we go. So St. Gabriel River at Georgetown, this is the South Fork of the St. Gabriel. You can see how quickly this went from like less than 5 feet all the way up to over 37 feet way into the major flood stage, and the record was 41 feet. So this ended up being the second highest crest ever recorded on the San Gabriel River at Georgetown. So this was another one of the big river flooding issues that we had across our area. So now here's a live look at Lake Travis. I actually have this zoomed in. There was a fire that we're looking into on the shore there, but Lake Travis, current elevation up to 658.91. So that is 67% full now. The percentage, I believe, has gone up like 20 percentage points over the past 7 days as a result of these devastating flood waters working through the system. Again, a lot of this coming in from the Llano, which is passed into Lake Travis eventually, the Cow Creek, Big Sandy Creek, those creeks and streams in northwestern Travis and southern Burnett that dump into the lake as well. A lot of those inflows and some from the Pedernales. The lake has risen over 21 feet over the past 7 days. The difference from average, this is still not up to full pool, which is 681, and it's still not even up to the average for this time of the year. The difference from average is 7.51 feet below. As far as the forecast, it is still slowly rising. They expect maybe some rise up to about 659 or maybe a little bit above that over the next couple of days. So those were some of the figures and new data coming in that I wanted to show you. Now let's get into the forecast here. This is what's currently happening outside. We had some rain today. Fortunately, the places that saw the rain were not the areas that were hard hit from major flooding the past couple of days. So let's go up here, Williamson into Milam County. This is still some light rain, just steady light rain here, just on the south side of Cameron, out towards the Ben Arnold area. Williamson County, northeastern Travis, northern Bastrop County has been dealing with some of this as well. These rainfall rates in our area have been quite low for the past hour or so and have not caused any flooding. There was one flash flood warning here north of our area into, I believe that is Bell County. You can see in here anywhere in blue is 1/10 of an inch of rain. Anywhere in green is 1 inch of rain. So there were some 1 to 2 inch pockets here over parts of Williamson County, Milam, into Lee County, then also down into Bastrop and Fayette County as well. But again, these are not areas that we're dealing with major flooding over the past couple of days. So it's okay to have some heavy rain in those spots. It is our areas along and west of I-35 that are very saturated, and we really hope to avoid rain. Now, as we go through the rest of tonight, I think it's going to be just about completely dry, so that stuff is weakening down over Williamson and Milam County. Then the overnight will be completely dry, partly cloudy sky. Temperatures will drop down into the mid-70s tomorrow. For the afternoon tomorrow, low to mid-90s are in the forecast. Obviously, this is below average for July standards. And we do still have a 40% chance for showers and storms. Now, we're about to go to the models. I do not expect widespread major flooding issues tomorrow, but I do think it's possible that even across the hill country, some of these scattered downpours could develop. And here's what I mean by that. So this is 4 o'clock. And at that point, our model is printing out some of these scattered heavy downpours, especially across the northern hill country. This is where we have a lot of cleanup, recovery efforts underway right now. These could drop maybe a quick 1 to 3 inches of rain. That could cause some minor flooding. Again, I don't expect another round of 10 inches plus of rain here, but it's just that, now we've got very saturated soils and we've got the recovery and the cleanup, which is going on here. So just a heads up here in the hill country, we do have a chance for some scattered showers and storms in the afternoon into the early evening, including in the I-35 corridor in the metro. Some of these locally heavy downpours will be possible. Again, maybe a couple flood advisories tomorrow. I can't rule out a flash flood warning. Again, just not the same type of flash flood emergency type situations that we've been dealing with the past couple of days, but still there's a low end risk for flooding as we go through the day tomorrow. Then as we go to the evening, 9, 10 o'clock, things will weaken. And then Thursday, the forecast actually looks pretty much completely dry. So I've got a 40% Wednesday, a 0% Thursday, but then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, we do get back into rain chances. Again, these aren't major rain chances, but some of these scattered storms that develop, while it's going to be very localized, where they develop, especially if this is across the hill country, they still could be a little bit problematic. So as far as the rainfall, our GFS model less aggressive. This European model, maybe a little bit overdone. The answer is probably a little bit farther between, but I'm leaning a little bit more towards this European model with these rain chances ramping up some over the weekend. So, some pockets of 1 to 3 inches of additional rain. will be possible. Is everybody going to see as much rain as this model is showing? No, but there will be pockets that maybe could see a little bit more than that. And if that lines up with areas that have already seen the big time flooding over the past couple of days, then there could be some renewed flooding issues. So we'll be watching that for you as we get into the weekend. Here's my forecast for tonight. We had a 30% chance for showers and storms. A lot of that stuff is weakening down. The overnight is going to be completely dry. We'll drop down to 74 degrees tonight. Tomorrow, 40% chance for scattered showers and storms. That's for the afternoon into the evening. High temperature is going to be about 93 in the forecast for tomorrow. On the 7-day forecast, briefly completely dry Thursday, 95. Friday, still mainly dry, but we bump up to about a 20%, high of 94. Then Saturday into Sunday, a 30% chance for scattered showers and storms in the forecast, high of 93. Monday, a 20%, a high of 94. Again, over the weekend, do I expect anything, even remotely repeat of what we've seen over the past couple of days? I do not. But given the situation, cleanup, recovery, that will still be happening this weekend. We just need to keep an eye on things, and it could be enough if it lines up, especially with spots that are already saturated where more low-end flooding concerns do resume. So we'll be watching that for you over the weekend. And then temperature-wise, we're looking at really numbers across the board that are at or mainly below standards for this part of July. So that is an update on the forecast. I just want to say our thoughts and prayers are still with everybody who's been impacted by these just devastating floods and storms over the past couple of days. The cleanup and the recovery, it's going to continue here across Central Texas, and we'll continue to cover this for you. So next update from us, we'll take a little bit of a break. Next update will be 10 o'clock here on KVUE. We'll keep forecast information coming through the next couple of days.